Morning, fellow nerds. Color calibration is really boring, but it's a necessity and it has to be done. And as a photographer, you need to know about it and learn it. So here we go in the name of science.
I'm David from Levika Photography, and today we're going to talk about color calibrating our displays. And this is kind of a must. But before we dive into it, let me just show you what we're dealing with here. These are IPS monitors, and I know that you guys are probably wondering what is the best monitor to get. Well, IPS hands down is the best. If you use Retina displays, those are actually technically IPS displays. I stay away from 4K monitors just because I'm a little older. My eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, and so having that much information crammed into a tighter resolution is kind of hard on my eyes. So to make it easier on me, I use double 1920 by 1080 HD monitors. These are like 119 each, so maybe 250 bucks for the pair. So that's actually pretty cheap. Now there's different types of IPS monitors. There's wide gamut and normal gamut and narrow gamut. Now typically narrow gamut monitors are used in like cars for like backup displays, or those kits that you see that have a backup camera with a little monitor. Those are usually IPS, but they're usually narrow gamut, so you don't see the definition coming out of the camera that well. I prefer normal gamut. And a lot of people are going to say, why? You're a photographer, you should have wide gamut. No, not really. The reason why you should have normal gamut is because if you shoot a lot and have a tendency to print your work, then when you go to print, it doesn't matter what printer you use anywhere in the world, they're not wide gamut printers. They're only normal. So, realistically, having a wide gamut monitor is going to show you more detail in your photos that you don't normally see, but at the same time, when you go to print it, you're not going to be able to see that detail that you do see. So for me, it's just easier to edit on the screen, have it calibrated, then print to this Pro 1000 and get exactly what I'm seeing from monitor to print. So that's pretty much the goal. So normal gamut monitors I think are fine for photography and everyday use. The only reason why you'd use a wide gamut monitor is maybe if you're a very high-end graphic designer and you need it and you want to spend $700 on a monitor. That's not me. Now, when it comes to 4K monitors, I do like 4K, don't get me wrong. One day I will buy a gigantic one, but I'm using 1920 by 1080. These are 22-inch monitors, so in order for me to get a 4K display that I can see, I've got to have a 44-inch monitor that's this tall. And that gives me the same amount of detail that I can see here. So to be easy on my eyes, I go with 1920 by 1080, edit in here, zoom in, do whatever I need to do, I'm fine. But every once in a while, like if I'm editing 4K video, I actually plug into my TV because I've got an IPS monitor that's a 55-inch 4K TV. The only thing is it's not exactly color accurate even after it's calibrated, but because it's TV. But on the other hand, it does a good job. So, those are the types of displays that I use. But I prefer AOC because they're very inexpensive. They have a really good refresh rate. They're usually designed around gaming. They're a normal gamut monitor, and they're really sharp, and they're very easy to calibrate. When it comes to color calibrators, I prefer to use something that has an ambient room light sensor on it, but it's not necessary. When it comes to this, I use a Spyder 5. This is the Pro version, and basically you can use any color calibrator you want. The thing is, the main recommendation that I would say is use DisplayCal, because DisplayCal has a better test point, better color tables. It just basically calibrates a little better than, say, X-Rite or Spyder, in my opinion. And it's also free for the software, so all you have to do is get a calibrator. Now, when it comes to that, you can get away with a Spyder 4 Express if you want, or a Color Monkey, or whatever you want to use. There's 5 or 6 different brands out there, but as long as it's something that's current that can read as fast as this does, then you're fine. So anyway, this is DisplayCal. This is pretty much free software with a GPL license. Basically go in and interactive display, say as measured, and as measured for white point, white level, and tone curve. As of making this video, there's a new version of DisplayCal that just came out. So this is 3.7.1. So what I'm going to do here is recalibrate my monitor. So under Tools here, let me see here, Video Gamma Table. I'm going to reset my Gamma Table. Now I'm going to go to Calibration, and then what you need to have set up. This should be the default setting, but I'm going to do the CIE 1931-2 because all of the color profiling charts are set up against this. Our white point is going to be as measured, white level, as measured, black level, as measured, tonal curve, gamma 2.2 is what I'm going to set this at. So this is pretty much what I want. Ambient adjustment level, I'm going to do 160, simply because that's usually what I like to set it at. And this is for kind of low light in the room, so that's exactly what we're going to expect. And then the calibration speed. So the calibration speed you can set high, medium, or low. And in this case, I discovered high seems to work just fine. I tried it on high and low to see if there's a difference in calibration, and there really isn't. So my monitor seems to be fine with it on high. Now the other thing too is you really need to know what your monitor is. Now my AOCs are 23-inch and they're backlit LEDs and they're IPS monitors, and I have my gamma set at 2 in the menu, which means it's actually set at 2.2. So on AOCs, gamma 1 is 1.8, gamma 2 is 2.2. These are the settings that I'm going to use. So we're going to go to the profiling thing here, and this is pretty much what I believe that we want for our tech chart. This gives us 175 different tests that it's actually going to do on here. So minimized response delay, that seems to be fine. I haven't found any difference in these, and I tested this on my other monitors just to see what it was going to do. And I tried the lightness difference, the lumina difference, and the maximize RGB difference. Didn't really see anything. So leaving it on its default, I believe, is fine. So anyway, now we're going to go back to the display and instrument. So we're going to reset this here to make sure that it sees the calibrator, which it does. And now I'm going to click Calibrate and Profile, and then it just wants me to put the calibrator on the screen. So here we go. So we're going to hit Calibrate and Profile, and so basically it wants me to put on my color calibrator right over that mark. So there we go. So I just hit Start Measurement, and then it's going to cycle through the colors. And it'll tell me where my monitor is at. And these little arrows right here are what you want to see. And so I'm pretty much there. If you don't get color bars matching up like I am right now, then you got to go in and physically adjust your monitor by using the buttons either on the side or the back of it. And you can go in, and most monitors you can adjust the red, green, and blue and get that color to balance out to where it's pretty neutral before you start calibrating. And in this particular case, mine are balanced out, but now on AOC monitors they've got a gamma adjustment. So if you go over to the luminance setting, then you'll discover that not only can you set the brightness and contrast, but you can set the gamma. And on this I want gamma 2 because gamma 2 has a wider gamut than gamma 1. Gamma 2 is actually equivalent of 2.2 in Photoshop, and that's what you need, is a wider tonal curve. So there's nothing I really need to do here. So from here I can say Stop Measurement, and now Continue to Profiling. And it says Setting up the instrument, and now it's just going to run. Now, the other thing that you should do while I'm thinking of it is make sure that you turn your sleep mode on your computer off during this time, just so that way the computer doesn't fall asleep or the monitors don't fall asleep while you're actually calibrating, because that just screws everything up. So the reason why I use DisplayCal over anything else is because it does a lot deeper sampling, and to me, I think it holds the calibration a little bit better. Using Datacolor's Pro Display software, it kind of seems to vary from time to time. Like after recalibration, it might look slightly warmer or all of a sudden slightly cooler. And with this, it just seems like it's always exactly the same, which is what I like. The same. I technically recalibrate every 4 months, pretty much religiously. And the thing that sucks about it is I've got 6 monitors that I have to do. So, and usually, like if I see a pop-up come up saying NVIDIA has a new driver for you for your GeForce, I'm like, pass, because I'll just let it run until I'm getting close to calibration. Then I'll install the driver and then recalibrate. But it's something that has to happen no matter what. And the connections on the back of the monitors also make a difference. So on this one, I'm using one DVI cable and one HDMI cable. DVI is okay. I don't see any difference between DVI or HDMI. I'm sure there probably is something in the frequency or the signal or something like that, but DVI is technically digital video in, so it should be fine. With HDMI, to me, it just seems like it's passing audio through as well, but it's still kind of like the same connection. Now, the analog connectors, the old 11-pin setup, avoid those. So if you can use DVI or HDMI, do that. Analog is literally converting the signal back to analog to send through a line, and then the monitor converts it back to a digital signal anyway. So it's kind of a waste of time, and it doesn't seem to have as wide a gamut as DVI or HDMI. So there. Blah. We're still going. So anyway, there's a penguin driving down the highway, and he's driving along in his car, and it's starting to overheat, and he's like, oh my god, I'm overheating. And there's a small town coming up, so he decides to pull into the small town, and he finds a gas station, and he pulls in, and the mechanic there looks at him and says, your car's overheating. And he's like, yeah, could you look at it? And he's like, yeah, I'll look at it. He's like, well, I'm looking at it. There's a cafe across the street, and they serve all kinds of stuff. They have the best ice cream. So the penguin gets really excited and walks over to the cafe, and he's like, yay, and goes into the cafe. And he gets himself a big bowl of ice cream, and he's sitting there eating it with his little flippers, and he's like, oh, this is the best thing ever, blah, 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 blah. So then he goes back to the mechanic, and the mechanic is looking at his car, and he's looking down, and he looks up, and he looks over at the penguin, and he's like, looks like you blew a seal. And the penguin just says, oh no, it's just ice cream. Alright, there you go. Finally done. So I can install the profile, and then I'm just going to slide this over and check and see how it looks between monitors, and I still need to adjust the second monitor. So I'm going to choose my secondary monitor right here, and now I get to repeat the process all over again, but I'm not going to torture you with that. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel for more information like this, and next time we are getting into camera calibration now that we've got the monitor calibrated and we know what the hell we're looking at. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. We'll talk to you later. See ya.